My guest today is Colin Marshall. Colin started Trash Party, which is a group of volunteers that goes and cleans up specific areas of Columbus. Earlier this year, he posted on Reddit that he was trying to get some people together to organize some sort of trash cleanup, and a lot of people jumped in. Since then, it's growing. They have more volunteers, they have people chipping in supplies, and they even have food trucks who volunteered to come out and feed those who are going to clean the area. What Colin does is the essence of community. It's a grassroots effort to make Columbus a more beautiful place. In this episode, we talk about everything from what Trash Party is to where he hopes to go with it. We also talk about Columbus and geek out about some Columbus projects that are in the works right now. All that and more on this chronicle of the Columbus Chronicle. I am so intrigued with how the inception of Trash Party and, I wanna talk about your story first, but at a really high level, like, what is Trash Party?
Yeah, sure. I would say Trash Party is really just um, grassroots volunteer effort to just clean up our city a little bit. I noticed that I've been here for quite a while. I went to Ohio State, so I've been here for a little while. And you just notice on your drive to work or if you're going on a walk in your neighborhood, it just seems like there's a lot of litter everywhere, a lot of trash. And it just seemed like that was the acceptable thing. And I figured like, it's not that difficult to clean it up, I feel like. And I started doing it on my own. And it was actually really fun. Like I'd go out on a walk and I'd just grab a trash bag and a little trash grabber and just go out on a hike and you wouldn't even notice you're doing it. And by the time you're done, it's like you got a full bag. It's crazy how much it adds up. It really is insane. So I figured, if one person can do just that little amount and make a decent difference just in like 30 minutes, I thought it'd be a cool idea to get the community involved because I felt like it should be a community effort because it happens everywhere. And I just felt like there's got to be enough like-minded people that are interested in something like that um, to really hopefully get this to take off. So this, and you reached out to me kind of near the beginning of starting it, which is super
It
cool.
was just such a cool thing, yeah, to watch unfold. Sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, thank you. And I didn't really know what the intention was. Like, I just thought I'd reach out on Reddit, and I'd post in some of the Columbus groups just to see like, hey, is there anyone else who kind of feels similarly? And if there are, do they want to join me around the city and try to, clean up some big areas that frankly just one or two people can't do on their own. So yeah, I started it, I would say like a few months ago and posted on Reddit and it started out pretty slow, like as expected. But honestly, even the small groups, it was really good. We'd clean up a ton in like an hour or two, and it left everyone feeling really good about themselves, and we really made a difference. And I just, we just stayed the course, and we just kept posting about it every week. I was just happy to have anyone join, because it's fun to do it. Honestly, as weird as that sounds, it's actually it's pretty satisfying to see like a before and after of some of the areas you clean up, and it's areas that you want to see be doing better, in the community and in the city. Um, Places you may know about, other places you're not as familiar with. So it's cool to explore different parts of the city to see like where are the areas that really need help. In regards to the trash cleanup. So yeah, it's since then we've probably had 15 or 20 cleanups. We try to do it just about every weekend. And I figured we'd try to do that and just see what kind of interest there was in something like that. And the demand it's been amazing. We get like 20 to 30 people every weekend, every time we're doing an event, come out and they are really thrilled to help, and again, they're just really positive, like-minded people. So it's been great. As far as community goes, I've met a ton of new friends from this, I would say, like, a ton of new people. It's great. A lot of good connections we're making too with, like, other organizations. A lot of people are really interested in helping. I think one of the coolest things was in South Columbus, um, I posted about us doing another cleanup, um in like this big kind of almost like an abandoned plot, like shopping plaza. But there were still some shops open there, but there's like an abandoned Walmart and a ton of stuff. Just like I would consider it what people would consider as a forgotten space. And I figured, you know, there's a ton of people who still live here. And if there's a way for us to sort of, you know, give them some inspiration or some motivation to just remind everyone that, like, you know, we haven't forgotten about this space. This is just as important to our community as a lot of other well-known spaces. But the cool thing about that one was I had a decent amount of people show up, and then someone messaged me on Reddit, and they were like, they mentioned, "Hey, I work for Schmidt's Sausage House in German Village, a pretty like iconic, you know, food staple of Columbus." And he mentioned he managed all the food trucks, and he said he'd love to come out and sponsor one of our cleanup events to, like, you know, give us free meals and stuff. I was like, that's so cool. And I talked to him a little bit. He came out and it was awesome. Everyone loved it. And he just mentioned, he was saying how awesome, like, these kind of events were because, you know, him and his brother, who was working for Schmitz at the time, they mentioned that they were from that neighborhood just on South Columbus, just near 270, and they're like, "This means a lot, you know, this is where we grew up." So they loved it, and they said they, you know, they wanted to get involved more in some of the cleanups in the future. So, you know, we got a lot of connections like that, which I think is so cool.
That's really neat. One thing I love, about the people here in Columbus, and I've had several conversations with people about this. It's just like if they see good happening in the community, there's a want to, add on to that, to pile on to that. Have the people you met expressed like a similar sentiment with you, where it's been like, "This is I love that you're doing this. I want to be involved more."
Yeah, yeah, we really have, and honestly, again, I went into this just kind of winging it. I didn't know what, in terms of preparation, what we needed, or how much, you know, the amount of supplies we needed, or how long these events should be, or how long we were even going to do this for. You know, it was just week by week basis. Like, we only just figured out our name, Trash Party, recently. Um, so we're still in like the beginnings of whatever this could be, which is awesome to see. Um, so, you know, the ceiling just, it can keep going higher. But yeah, there's been a ton of people who have mentioned that this is awesome. This is something they've really wanted to get involved with, something like this for a long time. And they've expressed huge interest in getting more involved. And there's a ton of people who are helping a lot now, with just like planning, logistics, helping out with supplies. Um, it's really a group effort now. So I've got, you know, I've got like a handful of people now part of the group who, they come out all the time and we organize things and we just figure things out. We're kind of in the process of, you know, getting the legal status for like a nonprofit going on, because there's a ton of people who, again, were like, this is so cool. I came one time and I just wanted to see if, you know, the company they worked for would want to donate supplies or donate whatever they could. And they're just like, you know, if you guys are a nonprofit or whatever, our companies can do that. And I'm like, that's so cool. So there's been a ton of people donating in a ton of ways, whether it's like supplies or just donating their time on the weekends to help out. So yeah, a lot of people have gotten more involved, and I think it's cool. I'm happy to be a part of this and sort of, you know, begin these events. And it seems like a lot of people have reacted really positively to it, and it's resonated with a ton of people. And I think it's a good opportunity for a lot of these people to feel empowered to, you know that they really can make a difference. Like myself, I just feel like I'm just a normal guy who had an interest in doing something like this. And so, you know, everyone can take that to heart and be like, well, you know, if this person can make a difference so far, they can as well. So I think, again, collective community effort, and it's been super successful so far.
I love that. I wanna know your story. Who is Collin? Like, where are you from originally? You from Columbus originally?
Yeah, sure, sure. I'm originally from Northeast Ohio, from the Akron area. Grew up in a town called Kent, uh, right there where Kent State
Yeah, I
is.
was gonna say, I've never heard of it.
Never, no, not, yeah. Um, But yeah, that's probably 2 hours north of here. I came to school down here at Ohio State, back probably just about 15 years ago. and I've been here ever since. Just been part of the community. I graduated, got a job with an engineering firm here in Columbus, and I studied environmental engineering. So environmentalism, outdoors have always been of interest to me. Uh, so it's definitely something that's relatable. In my job, I'm kind of involved in flood maintenance and flood control. So our engineering groups, they'll help, plan cities and design bridges and roadways and all sorts of things, just a lot of infrastructure. And I'm kind of involved with helping to make sure those things don't flood basically when it rains. So, our open streams and our open rivers, they're very applicable to me in my mind. And, when you see the Scioto River, Olentangy River, um, in general, when they flood, and you'll see when the flood ends, you go down there by the rivers, and there's just a ton of literally a ton of trash. It just picks it up from upstream, and it just collects it and just gets it down the river. So, um, yeah, so seeing that too was kind of like helped me want to form a group like this to take care of those issues, or at least help with it.
It's really neat when you can marry a passion you have with like an active thing in your career. So right, that environmental engineering, but then you go out and you can create this additional thing where you can see the value of it directly up front. So what kept you here in Columbus?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, just my career has been here in Columbus. I've got a lot of friends here, from the Ohio area, and a lot of college friends. I think since I've been here, I've always been, a big theme of your podcast and your stories seem to be the importance of community. And that's like that's the bedrock of anything, I feel like. Um, so if you have a strong community, that's something that would keep you around in an area. And I've got great friends. I've met a lot of good people through similar avenues of interests or hobbies. And I feel like, the longer you're in a place, it's important. You feel like you want to have a hand in the community, and be a positive force wherever you're at. So, yeah, Columbus has been a really good community. It's been really, really kind to me.
This is going to be so far out there from the rest of this conversation, but I find what you do super interesting in terms of like flood mitigation. One of the things when I moved to Columbus that just I don't know why I was so enthralled with Franklinton was the flood wall and the history behind that. Like I'd loved your analysis of just like how Franklinton has developed since the flood wall.
Sure, sure. First of all, flood wall is very cool. And most people don't even know it's there because I don't know, that's kind of the point. Like you can see the mural on the side of 315, like, historic Franklinton flood wall, and you never see it like being used. But you might have seen it. It's like this past spring, I think they brought it out. And what it does is it basically creates a berm along like vulnerable areas that are really close to like the top river elevation in the area. So Franklinton's a pretty low lying area right next to the Scioto River. So and the Olentangy River. So it's in an area that is vulnerable when it's flooding. So when the rivers swell, yeah, it'll come up, but the flood walls, they know when it's going to happen. Yeah, there's a certain period of time after the major storm events where the water levels are going to rise. And so putting in this giant wall basically protects the houses and the businesses on the far side of the wall from getting as affected by the drainage issues. So I think it's very interesting. It's super cool to see that. And I've never actually seen it in action though. I saw it on the news once, and I'm like, it's really interesting to see. But you'll see that a lot in Ohio too, in historic towns, because again, there's a reason they did it at the beginning of the turn of the century, because Ohio had crazy flooding issues um, back in the day, and I mean they still do, but a century ago it could wipe out whole towns because there's just no flood mitigation measures in place. And so that's why you ever go along the Ohio River or any historic towns in southern Ohio, you'll see like you'll see big flood walls along the towns. Or like if you go to Portsmouth, there's down by Ohio River, there's like the famous Portsmouth flood wall mural. Yeah, it's really crazy. I went last year with my brother, and I didn't realize how huge it was, but it's right on the river, and so that thing swells up like crazy. But as far as Franklinton has historically and recently dealt with it, um, you know, there's been a ton of development. You obviously know a lot of mixed use development. It seems like in the Franklinton area, down by land grant. And I was just driving through some of it. It's been a little while since I've driven down here. It's crazy how much has happened with development in Franklinton. Um, and typically new builds, the in Ohio and pretty much everywhere, there is a requirement to basically offset the flood issues that may come from adding new buildings. If you're taking out an area of grass or a park area for new developments, there always has to be stormwater measures put in place to sort of offset the issues that may happen during flooding events. So you'll see a new hotel built somewhere. There's a lot, not a lot of new apartments and hotels there, down the way, but a lot of those will need to, you'll see if on the grounds, you'll see there's like new ponds that they build and new stormwater basins that may look like parks or they may look like open space, rain gardens, that kind of thing. So they are designed to look really beautiful too, which is cool. And they're designed to be areas that, people can easily walk through. But it also has a stormwater purpose to it also, which is cool. And you just I think it's interesting. There's a lot of things like that are improvements, and you don't even realize they're serving a really important purpose. So I would imagine that Franklinton is definitely looking ahead to help with those flood mitigation efforts in terms of the new mixed use development that's happening here in Franklinton.
Thanks for geeking out with me on that. Or one, I know I can tell you're passionate about that. Are there other, just for my own curiosity, are there others in areas in Columbus that have, I guess, in recent years done any sort of that big mitigation to prevent? I can't think of off the top of my head, but I feel like there are some that I've seen in news headlines or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. And we could nerd out about this for forever for sure. So, yeah. um, So I know there's a big program through the city of Columbus called Blueprint Columbus. I can send you some info about that later too. But it's through the city, and it's basically a bunch of flood mitigation projects that are happening throughout the city limits of Columbus to basically help with stormwater runoff during storm events. So it's similar to some of the things I mentioned already. So they really are attempting to fix the issues of sanitary sewer lines and stormwater sewer lines. And then another big one I can think of is, I know it started a few years ago, is there's a giant tunnel project actually going on under the city.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
yeah, if you know where to look, it's like and it might be filled up now, but I remember there's a giant hole down by, I forget what is it, Kemba Live now. They always change their names.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know
down by the
I
Clippers.
remember seeing that visual. That's what I was thinking of when.
Cool.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so that tunnel, that dark, mysterious tunnel, just the pit in the ground place, it first of all, it's really cool to look at, but what they're doing there is they're trying to make like a tunnel system underneath Columbus to basically help with what's called combined sewer overflows. And what those are is like, and this is a problem all around the country, is when these cities were first being built, basically the pipes being used to carry stormwater runoff from the streets and sewage from, everywhere from houses and buildings shared one single pipe. And what they thought back then was to solve the issue of, they knew the sewage was not good for you, but they just said, well, let's dump it in our rivers and we're going to dilute it, and it's going to go down where it's going to go down the river and everything's fine.
Right out of mind.
Yeah. And the problem with that is, there's obviously nowadays the sewage is directed. They've updated that system. The sewage it gets directed to wastewater treatment centers all around Columbus. There's a few in Columbus, and there's water treatment centers too, just for stormwater. Um, But the problem is they're still combined, which means every time it floods, you get what's called a combined sewer overflow. Is those pipes, when they're in the pipes, it's fine because that's all going to be taken to the sanitary sewer wastewater treatment plant to get treated. But when it floods, that's so much water. That means raw sewage is going to come out. It's going to dump out into the rivers. It's going to dump out on the streets, and then people get sick, and it's terrible. So you still get that sometimes. So that's the whole point of this is they're digging a tunnel through and they're disconnecting those combined sewers to have a sewer system that's just for sanitary and a sewer system that's just for stormwater. That way, when it floods, it's like the clean water that's flowing, and that's fine. So that's better than the alternative. So that's a cool thing that's going on right now too. So there's a lot of construction going on downtown, and some of it might be related to that. So it'll be interesting to see. Those projects are so expensive, and that's why it's taking cities a really long time to enact them. You see the same thing in Cincinnati and the same thing in Cleveland too. So very interesting. But it's nice that, albeit slowly, these like issues are getting, solved a little bit. So
Cool. I super appreciate us going down that rabbit hole.
of course,
So I'd like to go back to kind of the aspect of community and what you've been able to do with we'll officially call it Trash Party. Yes. Um, that first call that you put out, what was that reaction like? I feel like I saw a lot of positive responses on social media after that call.
for sure. But I will say it's first too about the name. It took a while to figure out, and honestly, some of us thought it'd be funny if we went by Trash Cult because it's funny how like there were just so many people interested, and it was like an awesome group effort, and I thought it was funny. I did realize most people probably just wouldn't get it. So we're like, you know what, Trash Party, that's fun. That'll get people out. That'll get people going. Um, but yeah, just, it's been really positive so far. I didn't never really realize it might get this big. So we gotten tons of people come out. The Columbus Dispatch covered us too, and I thought that was so cool. Um, but just the responses from people um really makes it so much more worthwhile to see, like, the impact we can make on certain people's lives. The volunteers, first of all, they are awesome, and they're always looking to help. So they'll hit me up and be like, how can I help with this? And so we're slowly getting more organized to do these cleanups much more efficiently. But yeah, the responses I get from most people is like, just like, this is so cool. I've been looking for something like this. There's a lot of people looking for that. So I feel like the takeaway message is, there's a lot of good people out there who want to make a difference. And it could be in a number of avenues of ways to make a difference. They just don't always know how or like where to take that. And I think that might have been where, my interest in it started, because I would do this on my own. It was fun. I'd do it with a friend or two. It was good, but still felt a little disconnected, a little isolated from the community. And I figured, like, this would be awesome to get more people in the city involved with. It seems like there could be a real interest in this. And so that's kind of the bedrock of this too. It's to clean up the trash as much as we can in these vulnerable areas and vulnerable communities, but it's also to foster a community of the like-minded people who want to make a difference. And it's added a lot of value to my life. It feels great to be involved in this outside of a career, outside of work, because it truly doesn't feel like work, and it's a lot of effort though. I'm realizing. Feels like it feels like a part-time job on top of work. But it's helped me realize, and I'm sure a lot of other people feel this way too. But it makes me realize that this is a way I can hopefully impact people's lives and impact the community in a way you can't quite do in your professional capacity all the time. You've got deadlines and you've got things, other things, that you're focused on at work. This feels great. You're giving back your time. You're giving back your energy to the city, and it's been really awesome so far. A lot of people have reached out similarly to when you reached out to me, which is great. I it's been nice meeting you too so far. And there's been a lot of cool groups that have wanted to get involved or have some sort of partnership with us. So we've been working with some groups. Green Columbus is one of them. They're a big, environmental and education advocacy group, community outreach group. Some people up in Delaware, Ohio, they just mentioned they're part of, community groups up there and they wanted to get involved too. I think the coolest thing was actually last weekend, and that event actually was just a couple minutes down west of where you're at, down on Broad Street, right by Rhodes Park.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
know exactly where.
yeah, cool. There's a park over there, and just a ton of trash back there, and we cleaned up so much. It was awesome in like a couple hours, and I met some of the volunteers that came out. They were like uh, like 2 or 3 people. They came up to me and were like, "Yeah, thanks for putting this on." They came out from like over an hour away. They drove all the way down to Columbus just because 'cause they're just so interested in this. So I'm like, "That's cool. That's cool to see." They really do like that's like I don't know, it's just that's passion right there, you know? That's real passion. So I'm happy to see that they are that interested in getting involved. So it just makes you realize like this is a good thing that we're doing, and I want to keep the efforts going as much as we can.
How is it growing? Because I know you mentioned, like, you used to do it alone. How many people on average, and you don't have to give me exact stats, obviously, but, like, how many people do you think on average you get in the last couple cleanups you've had?
Um, Probably anywhere from like 20 to 30 people. Yeah, it's really cool. And I'm just blown away by how much trash you can pick up. It's insane. We'll get we'll 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 bag up like 100 bags worth of trash in a couple hours. And collectively, it's so cool. We're just about at um 19,000 pounds of trash we've removed from like the woods, from the rivers, from our streets. And that's awesome because it's the issue of like trash cleanup. I would say it's a fairly straightforward, simple issue, but it is pervasive. It's everywhere, and it just takes a lot of time to figure out how to deal with it. It's one of many social issues, around the city. Um, I figured this is a good, like, quantifiable way for people to see that, like, "Hey, what I'm doing is actually making a difference," and I feel like it's just the first step in many steps to grow the community and help out the vulnerable folks who are all around the city. And that's another aspect of it too that I never really realized would come across is every now and then some of the trash cleanups is, it involves unhoused encampments, homeless encampments around the city, and it's sad to see how many of these places there are and how many individuals are back there. But we've kind of taken it on as an effort too to help start a dialogue with those folks because they are a part of, they're a part of Columbus, and they're a part of, unfortunately, I think like a forgotten space in the city. So it's been very rewarding to first reach out to those people. I'll go out, maybe myself and another volunteer, and we'll introduce ourselves. We'll get to know these people. Sometimes they living out in the woods. Um, we I want to respect their space, and I want to help these areas get cleaned up too. And they've only been supportive of it. I mean, they're like, "That's really cool that you wanted to help this group and help us out and clean up this area." So they're so supportive. Uh, Even they get involved in the cleanups too when we go out to those areas. So we respect their space, obviously. Anything that's trash, we take out and we clean that up. And I think it's just a good way. It's kind of like clearing out your bedroom, clearing out, it kind of clears your mind out a little bit too. Um, and I think the connection with just talking with people is maybe lacking in their lives a lot too. So we can go out here, make a difference, cleaning things up, doing it together, and sort of letting these people know too that they're not forgotten about. We try to help out as much as
And
we
they feel
can.
comfortable around you with what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. If they weren't, I wouldn't bother them. And I think we've been able to toe that line very well. I try to provide them with resources, you know, the the resources that the city provides, the different shelters that are available. I know they're not always available. The resources fluctuate, but it's just trying to start that conversation with them to understand where they're coming from. So it's been cool. It's started out as a trash cleanup. It still is, that kind of organization, but there's a real human aspect to it that I love because um, it's great, meeting new people and talking to them and hopefully leaving a lasting impact on them. And it's vice versa too. The opposite's true. So
It's incredible, and it adds another dimension to the work that you do of not just when you talk about what you do, but also I imagine to the purpose it gives you. I gotta ask, 100 bags of trash, let's say, like you said, you clean up an area under, how do you get that out of there? What
yeah,
does that
that's a great
process look
point. I
like?
forgot to mention that. We partner with Keep Columbus Beautiful, which is it's a program through the city, and every city has that kind of program. That's kind of how I first started. Actually, was they do like annual events, like trash cleanup all around the city. We'll do like highway, roadway cleanups, that kind of thing, and we will. That's how I first got involved was starting out at one of those, and I went to one of their sites, cleaned up. I was like, this is really fun. Did it on my own as well too. But I saw that they have resources to help you get started with doing your own little like trash cleanup groups. And I first started, I got some of their supplies, and um, then I realized, we we're getting a lot more people involved. I don't want to take all their supplies, so I just purchased a ton of supplies for our group and like trash grabbers.
That was out of your own pocket.
Yeah, but it was fun, honestly. It was kind of this is like a fun thing, and I was happy to do it and get it, just so that we had the guaranteed supplies. Since then, a lot of people have donated great things too, and a lot of the volunteers help out. And they've still donated vests, gloves, a lot of things that we need. So it's been a great group effort, I would say. Um, but the most important part, like, we would not be able to do all this if it wasn't for Keep Columbus Beautiful. They got access to the city, the trucks, the cleanup trucks. Um, we basically just tell them where we leave our trash sites, and we get it out close to the road or wherever, and they'll come out a day or two later and just pick it up. So I'm like, man, that's perfect because I don't think any of us has a truck big enough to take care of any of this. So it's been a great partnership so far. They're great people.
What is it like showing up to a place and then it's just I would assume most of these people are complete strangers to you right off the bat when you first started. What was that first period like when you were getting introduced to all these new people?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, there's a lot of people. It can be a little overwhelming at first. But I've gotten used to it since then. I think a lot of people just came on their own. So it's very, very cool that they were willing to get out there a little bit, meet some new people, and do something that we all enjoy doing. But throughout the events, I'd be able to talk with a lot of them and just let them know who I am or what we're doing. And they all have an idea because they all found it on Reddit too. So yeah, it's been very good to get to know a lot of these people. After a while, it's just like it's nothing. They just feel like people you already know. So it's like one of the volunteers said this. She was like, you won't really meet like a mean or a terrible person coming out on a Saturday morning to like pick up trash with you. Everyone's very open, very positive. They want to make a difference, and they seem like very, very nice people to talk to and meet. Yeah.
That's awesome. How can people follow along, join the cause, give the plug?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we're still in like the infancy of all this. You'll probably see us more on social media. You can see us on Reddit, in the Columbus groups. I post regularly on Reddit. Um, you can follow me. I'll try to post on Instagram as well. Follow me on Instagram. And we'll probably be
What's the Instagram handle to follow you on?
yeah, what is it? Just look for Collin Marshall. It might be Collin Marshall 18.
I know if someone goes on the Columbus subreddit and just types in trash party,
Trash
yeah,
party,
trash,
yes.
they will be able to find
Yeah,
directly.
trash party, drip or drown 1212 on Reddit. or look for trash party. So, um, what else? Yeah, I mean, and then hopefully in a few months we might even be on other things too, on other social media. So we're still growing, still trying to figure it out. But so far it's been awesome.
Yeah. And if anyone out there has a like business, like we were working on the nonprofits right now,
Absolutely,
working on
guys.
that.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. If you guys have any interest, want to get involved in that with us, it's a good group to work with. We've had multiple food trucks come out and support our work. We've had a couple companies come out. It's cool. Some companies will come out and join us for kind of like a company like volunteer event too. So, met a lot of great people that way. A lot of cool watershed advocacy groups been getting involved with. They want to get involved with our messaging too. So yeah, overall it's been awesome so far.
Yeah. And it's cool that you kind of do it in this really cool relationship with Keep Columbus Beautiful and these other organizations as well too, where there's that additional support, like picking up those bags and stuff. Um, I have, I always ask people this. It pivots the conversation a little bit, but I think it might apply a little bit to this. When you look at the future of Columbus, what excites you and what concerns you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like it's grown like crazy since I first got here. Campus looks completely different. Um, and it feels like every neighborhood seems to be growing really well. So a lot of businesses, a lot of cool places to visit. Um, I think what you don't want to lose in that is the ability for everyone to be a part of that community. So, what comes with that is probably affordable housing. That's obviously an issue, um, especially if you're growing. The jobs are coming here. A lot of people are moving to Columbus, which is really cool, but you wanna make sure everyone gets a piece of that, and so probably and I know I've seen that, like, the city's working on zoning reform to help, to help build better and more mixed use areas for business and residential areas, um, and who knows what will come of that, but hopefully it's for the better. So I would say that's a cool positive, and, something to be concerned with is just if it doesn't work out where people can stay in their communities and their neighborhoods that they've grown up their whole lives in, because it's crazy how much we're building. And thankfully, it's building outwards, and there's a lot of opportunity for building more housing. Um, but yeah, I guess those are probably the main concerns. But it's cool to see again, like we talked about, we nerded out a little bit earlier about the stormwater aspect, to see that at least on the infrastructure side, the city is very interested in the public health of everyone. So, you know, disconnecting those combined sewers is a big part of it. And it's a lot of things that people on the day to day don't always see. So it's good to see that that is an investment being made.
I love that. I love that. It's you bring up such a good point that it is such a balance of there's growth coming here. That's great and that's awesome. How do we make sure that we don't forget the people? We don't forget the people that made these communities in the first place, that made these people want to come here. I love that point that you make. Final question before I leave it off to you for any like additional things you want to add, but I always ask this again. Favorite places to eat, drink, just hang out in Columbus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I watched some of your other videos, and I'm like, man, they give such great answers, and they're such personalities too. Like you had who was it, Big Joe? Is that
Yeah, he's Big Joe.
hilarious?
He is
He is hilarious.
great dude too, doing some awesome things. We
I wish I could bring a little something too. He brought all that great Fago. I don't have anything, nothing interesting, but
trash.
bag of trash. I don't know if you want that. I was thinking, yeah, bring all the props out. Yeah. So you said places to eat and drink, places to hang out.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
where Columbus you like to go.
yeah, yeah. A big part of my community here has been just socially playing volleyball, like sand volleyball. There's a few cool spots. There's Flanagan's. There's a place called Woodlands, not too far from here. Woodlands backyard. Met a ton of great people. So many good like lifetime friends from there. And man, you can just be terrible at volleyball and meet so many cool people. You can do whatever. It's great. But it's a fun place to hang in the evenings. fun place to drink with friends, in a social setting. It's one of those places. Another one of your guests, Matt Barnes, was talking about, and you guys touch on third spaces a lot, which is extremely important. That's another thing too, probably to improve on the city, is better, cheaper third spaces, areas people can go. It's not work and it's not home, but you can go and really be a part of a community. Um, I feel like that's a fairly cheap way to have a third space, is, joining a volleyball league with friends, hanging out, playing, just getting some drinks. So it's important. That's a good spot. Like comfort food, I love Indian food. So might be a basic answer, but I love Ob. It's a place called Ob Indian in Grandview. Um, Los Guachos is a pretty solid place, Mexican food spot. They got a couple spots around the city. Um, but yeah, other than that, I recently tried a place in Bexley called Rubino's Pizza. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Close to the campus area, Capitol. Really good pizza. Cool little spot. Felt like a little mom and pop store. So that was good. Those are all my comfort foods I just listed, by the way. So those are always going to be my top answers.
All seem like great answers. And I'll have to try that. I've been trying so hard to like go to the places people recommend, and it's just I don't think I will ever be able to do that. Like it's just I have to eat out like every night for for the next year. Um, Anything else you want to add? Whether it be about Trash Party, Columbus, anything to that extent.
Um, I think we covered a lot of good stuff. There's other orgs that, are just as important, like way more important than just what we're doing, that cover a lot of ground. Just to give a plug, there's a group I've worked with. They're kind of a mutual aid group called Here to Serve, and they really focus on the unhoused issue here in Columbus. And I've seen them do great work, a lot of donations. Most importantly, getting at least temporary housing for folks who are experiencing homelessness. That's again kind of ties into the affordable housing in the city. That's like the staple of what you need to really really begin your life, or really have a good support system to live a good life. So good group. Recommend getting involved with them. Columbus Coalition for the Homeless, another group too, that's doing very, very important work to the vulnerable communities that are within Columbus. But other than that, my mom just retired. Happy retirement, Mom. Yeah, congrats. Love to see that. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Colin, I appreciate all you're doing for this city, and just the advocacy for a cleaner Columbus, a better Columbus for everyone. And just I appreciate you coming on.
Of course. Thank you for everything you do too. This is awesome. I mean, I'm so happy you reached out to me and invited me out, and it's great to see what you're doing as well. So you're definitely giving us a platform to continue this.
Much appreciated. Much appreciated.